What's going on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all platforms? Welcome to the All 32 NFL All 32 with your boy Rob Zero, yours truly, Big Pat Sports Talk at NYG 22 on the turntables. Hey, look, we're gonna give you all your NFL news throughout the week, and can't ready to talk some NFL with you guys. So we'll be right back after the intro. So to be honest with you, we got a couple of sacks because of hustle. And
a lot of different reasons is in the past, or he's still that quarterback that the Browns thought they were getting when they decided to pull.
Shadowing that offensive lineman and waiting for Jaden Daniels to do something. Welcome to the NFL All 32. All right, this is the NFL All 32, man. We're going to be breaking down some NFL news and some rumors that's going to be happening in the NFL. All the things that's happened so far, man. First thing we want to talk about is, man, this free agency period has been absolutely insane with the amount of money that these guys have been getting, man. Like, Rob, man, it's like guys like Myles Garrett getting paid $40 million. Guys like Jamar Chase getting paid $41.5 million. Then you got our boy Hunter from the Texans just getting $36.5 million at the defensive end position. Like, these dudes are getting paid almost quarterback money, man. What do you think is the influx of this money? DBs getting $30 million a year now. What do you think is going to happen with the NFL? Let's just say 2 to 3 years, 4 years from now with these contracts, man. These contracts have been absolutely crazy. And why do you think it's been happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think a lot of it's been happening just because a lot of some of these positions are pretty crucial, right? When you look at, teams like Kansas City, the Ravens, the Bills, you need defense, to be able to slow those guys down. And with the AFC, man, like there's so many good quarterbacks that can do a lot, in the AFC. That's where the majority of majority of where they are. Burrow's another one. So I think like these defenders, man, they're getting paid big money, because it's about going in there and be able to stop like that guy you just saw on the screen, the boogeyman, man, number 15. When you look at the wide receiver position, that's just been constantly going up as offenses get more creative, things of that nature. But you also notice now a lot of these contracts are like 2 to 3 year contracts, and I think it's players, they want to try to maximize. You know what? I'm going to sign here 2 or 3 years, get a big payday. And you know what? If I want to re-sign, I'll re-sign for another 2 or 3 years because, my money, my value is going to go up. Or I'll be able to go to another team that wants me, that is on the verge of maybe competing and just needs me to get over the hump. And I'll take advantage of that situation too. So, in the free agency, other than guys like Myles Garrett, I mean, he got a 3-year extension, but you look at some other players like, I think Will Fries is the only free agent that got like a 4-year deal. He got like 5 years, $88 million with the Vikings. Everybody else in free agency was like a 3-year deal, 2-year deal. It's these short deals, man. I think Jamar and T. Higgins, I think they got a 4-year deal each. But I think T's contracts is a little bit more front loaded where they can get out after like 2 years. So these players that just want to try to maximize their money, as they should, maximize their value, maximize their money. I think that's mainly the push for it.
Yeah, I think that everybody's going to start following the Kirk Cousins agency. Whoever's been doing Kirk Cousins contracts, he's been getting short contracts, fully guaranteed. They haven't got to the fully guaranteed contracts in the NFL. They're still fighting that, but I do believe that's going to start happening within the next 2 to 3 to 4 years, man. It's going to be fully guaranteed contracts. You're going to see less money from the top, but it's going to be fully guaranteed. So instead of 4 years, $250 million, you might get 3 years, $180 million fully guaranteed, something like that, you know. So these NFL contracts, man, these guys are making money now, man. And I do believe because of that influx of money that they got as far as those TV deals, you know, they got those huge TV deals where it was, man, the cap has went from what, like 218. It is going to be over 300 million next year. I can guarantee it. And I believe, is that the last uptick of the cap for the TV contracts? I think it was what, 4 years or 5 years. And I think next year will be that last one where the cap will reach over 300 million. So you're going to see running backs are making $20 million a year now. Saquon Barkley got a $20 million a year contract at the running back position. And that's chump change compared to receivers now, because now Jamar Chase, man, $41.25 million a year for a receiver. I thought Jay Jetta's contract was crazy at 35, but now 30 million is going to be like your receiver 2 money here soon. You see what I'm saying? T. Higgins has made that trend happen. So I don't know, man. NYG, man, what do you think is making these contracts so influx and huge, bro?
Like you said, it's the TV deals. And a lot of it is, you know, sponsorships. You know, you got a lot of these businesses trying to get involved in the NFL. So, you know, it's allowing the NFL to grow. You know, it's allowing the NFL to be branded more, you know, and you seeing players start to brand more and start to develop their own brands and things like that. But I want to ask you guys a question. What do you think, like, given, you know, the whole running back thing last year, and given that, you know, Saquon Barkley's contract came out, you know, highest paid running back now, and given the incorporation of the running game now because you have the running quarterback, do you think you're going to see a shift? Because we know what the positions are getting paid right now. Do you guys think you'll see a shift in some of the money as far as position value is concerned?
I don't know, because the thing is, like, guys like McCaffrey and guys like Barkley, those are special players. I don't think that, like, and even Derrick Henry, like, those are special players. Like, I don't view Josh Jacobs the same way as I view Barkley or McCaffrey or Derrick Henry. Like, those are guys that can go into an organization and shift change that organization and really put an offense over the top. I don't think, like, when you look at Josh Jacobs, like, he went to the Green Bay Packers, really didn't have the same effect with Green Bay that these other guys did. Like, you put Barkley on Green Bay, you're probably getting a different type of explosiveness out of that position, then that offense probably looks a lot different, right? So I think it really is just going to depend, like, on the player. Like, I'll say this, guys that are up and coming, I could see a Jahmyr Gibbs being that level of an impactful player.
I was just going to say that.
That if he ever became on the market, could be viewed as that, a guy that can maybe potentially go in there and be a shift change with inside your organization. At one point in time, earlier in his career, you could have made that case for a guy like Alvin Kamara earlier in his career. But I don't think like Nick Chubb isn't going to go. Like, he's available right now. Nobody's signing him. Now, granted, he's dealing with a lot of injuries, but like, I just think it takes that special type of player that could go in there. And I don't think that you really got that around the league. Like, if you're being honest with yourself, at the running back position right now, and there's a lot of running backs that are coming out this year. Ashton Genty, that could be potentially on that level. Mm-hmm. The guy Hampton out of North Carolina, that could potentially be on that level, right? And they got to go into the league. We don't know what they're going to do like in the league, but I could probably use one hand and count the amount of running backs that potentially could have that level of impact on a roster if they go to it. And that's obviously Barkley because he's done it. We saw Derrick Henry do it last year. Christian McCaffrey's done it, and I think Jahmyr Gibbs can do it. And that's really like, and that's, to me, honestly, that's about it. Like, I can't really think about another player, another running back in this league that could probably be on that level, like where you can go to an offense and like really change the pace of the offense. If I'm missing somebody, let me know. That doesn't mean that there's not good running backs still in the National Football League. I just don't think that they bring that same level of impact.
You're missing one, and the only one that you miss is Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan too for the Falcons, with that influx of Michael Penix coming into that offense. Watch out for that Falcons offense next year, man, with Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and Michael Penix, man. I truly believe that offense is going to thrive next year. And they kept Pitts, so I think that offense is going to be kind of dominant next year, man. Because the way that kid plays the game, and Michael Penix, I don't see anybody in that NFC South really stopping them like that. I don't, and I think you're going to see the full explosion of that offense. Because I believe Kirk Cousins was holding those guys back, to be honest with you, man. But you know, that was the first segment here with the NFL All 32, man. We gonna go into something that we're gonna call the NFL Whip Around, man. We're gonna listen to what are some of the hot topics over in the NFL and what's going on, and we're gonna give our perspectives on the NFL hot topics. We'll be right back after these messages.
Giants organization that really put Daniel Jones in the forefront and carried him in that type of light, man, on national TV.
$223. The suspension also opens the door for the Texans to release Al-Shahir.
Then in 1976, guess who was hired? A Chiefs fans. This is where preference plays the biggest.
I'm gonna have to knock this down and get the oohs and ahs of Houston.
Welcome to the Aboriginal Sports Network. All right, this is the NFL Whip Around, and we're going to talk about what is the NFL talking about going around the league, and we're going to give our perspective on what we see these people talking about in the NFL Basically, it's going to be a reaction. Big Pat Sports Talk reacts. NYG22 reacts. Rob Zero in the building reacts. And we're just going to react to some of these topics that they're talking about in the NFL. So let's get it. The first one they're going to be talking about is Jamar Chase's contract extension. Let's see what they got to say about that.
Paying both Jamar Chase and Higgins.
All right, Laura, the Bengals answered a major offseason question, making Jamar Chase the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history and making T. Higgins the highest paid wide receiver 2 in NFL history. They keep the core of their team together and ensure that Chase, Higgins, and Burrow will spend the primes of their career playing together in Cincinnati. Meanwhile, the Houston Texans made all...
So, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins get their money from the Bengals while guys like Trey Hendrickson ain't got a dime yet. How you guys feel about that, man? We're going to start with you, Rob, man. How do you guys feel about that? And how do you guys feel about the Bengals going into this season with the same defense, but they got all their weapons back? And they were hot towards the end of the season. I will give them that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody didn't think that they were going to try to get those two guys done. And I know with Trey Hendrickson, another great player, rumor is from things that I was hearing is they have engaged in conversations again, and something could more than likely be resolved, this week. I don't know, man. Like sometimes with these players, like in the locker room, and we don't know, but like sometimes these players are like, I understand they want to get these guys done, I'll wait my turn, type of deal. We saw with the Cowboys, with, CeeDee Lamb and Dak getting their deals, and then Micah saying, I'm next or whatever. But I think they needed to. You had Burrow that made it very clear that he'd like to try to bring these guys back. And, in the AFC, you need the firepower. Now, granted, I think Burrow is good enough to where, you could have probably signed Chase, let T not necessarily walk, but maybe move him and dip into the draft. And you could have produced maybe another T. Higgins. But they wanted to bring him back in, which is totally fine. So the offense, I mean, when you look at the offense last year, they were averaging 30-something points a game. I mean, they were putting up astronomical numbers. Joe Burrow, by all accounts, realistically was putting up and had an MVP caliber season. Had it not been for the fact that, their record was what it was, he was definitely should have been in the MVP conversation. There was all of these questions with his hand injury and how he was going to be. He carried that team. Like, he was the reason why the team was really in a lot of those games. Defensively, they fell short, right? They fell short a lot. You could say it was because of the DC. You could say it was because some of, due to injuries. But all in all, I think that they did the right thing, shoring up their one and their two wide receiver, or as they like to say it, T doesn't like being called number 2, 1A, 1B. They did a good job getting those guys done, and then they'll get Trey done, and hopefully they can try to build off of and kind of, I would say, bounce back from last year and continue to build. And listen, those are the only guys that have been able to go into Arrowhead and get the job done. And so you got to give them the upper hand. They can compete with Mahomes. They know what it takes.
Yeah, Rob, I second that. This year, you're going to see what Joe Burrow, can he ascend to that next level? Can he ascend to the level of, I guess you per se, a Patrick Mahomes? I think he's already a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, but Mahomes has the hardware, he has the jury and everything behind him, so you got to give him that respect as being the number one. But Joe Burrow was the only guy to take down Patrick Mahomes and Arrowhead. They was calling it Burrowhead for a while because Burrow kept beating them there. And it was led by that offense. But Cincinnati's defense was pretty doggone good. that year that they went to the Super Bowl. The only weak point on that team really was the offensive line, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Boyd at the time, you know, they rose above that. So they're going to have to do it again, except they're going to have to do it with their defense probably being bottom half of the league. And that's just being nice if they continue to play the way they played last year. And I'm excited to see what the Bengals could do really going into the season, because I do have them as a sleeper team now that they brought all their weapons back. But if that defense cannot hold teams like the Ravens from scoring 40 points, or hold the Steelers from scoring 30-something points, you know what I'm saying, hold the Chiefs from scoring 40 points, they're going to have to win games 44-41, 45-40, 51-45. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have to win games like that. And if there's a team to do it, I promise you, it was the Bengals, because they showed it last year. A healthy Burrow, Chase, Higgins. They brought Gesicki back. What's the kid's name? Chase Brown. Chase Brown has really been showing out at the running back position. They didn't miss, you know, what's my boy that went over there to the Texans? I'm super bad with names. Joe Mixon. They didn't miss Joe Mixon as much as I thought they would miss him. So I'm excited to see what the Bengals do next year, man. Well, this year coming up, man. But NYG, man, producer, what do you think this Bengals team could do going into the future, man?
Well, to be honest with you, I made a video about this, and I think they should have gave that money. I think they should have definitely re-signed Chase. You know, I didn't mention that in the video, but man, I don't know. I don't know if you give them both a big contract like that and have a guy like Trey Hendrickson without a contract and wondering, you know, if he's going to be signed. You know, guy requesting a trade. You know, you're putting too much into the offense. You're putting too much into trying to keep up with Kansas City and Buffalo and all these teams, when you should be putting resources into stopping those teams, you know, as far as the defense is concerned. Now, you brought back BJ Hill. BJ Hill is a real dude. Shout out to BJ Hill. I wanted the Giants to bring him back, but at the end of the day, he's with the Bengals, and the Bengals did right by him. Now you got to do right by Trey, because that defense, like y'all said, has not been great, to put it nicely. And you putting a lot of pressure on Joe Burrow and all those receivers that you paid all this money to go out there and put up 40 points a game for you to win football games. And that's not sustainable in the NFL. It just ain't. So I think they made a mistake, you know, in my unpopular opinion, man. That's all I got.
Yeah, it will be a mistake if they don't hit on these draft picks, because I know they're going to go pretty much defense their whole draft. I could pretty much calculate that. One of the picks that I think they should try to get that linebacker from Alabama. I think they got like the 18th pick or something like that. 17th. If he falls to the 17th pick, that linebacker from Alabama could truly help Trey Hendrickson and BJ Hill. The other guy retired. He was always pretty good too. He retired. Sam Hubbard. Yeah, Sam Hubbard retired. So they're gonna have to get a linebacker. They're gonna have to get an edge. They're gonna have to get a DB. They're gonna have to get another safety. The loss of Jesse Bates hit them very hard, harder than I thought it was gonna hit them. But you know, they need slot corners. I mean, they just need defense, period. So all my picks would pretty much be defense. You know what I'm saying? I might get an offensive lineman, but the rest of my picks will be straight defense. You know, we got to get those guys trained up. Did they fire their defensive coordinator? I do believe they did. They fired him during the season. So we'll see what the Bengals do going into the 2025 season, man. I just think Joe Burrow is that dude, man, when he's healthy and he's upright and he's looking down the field. He has one of the quickest processes that I've seen in a very, very long time. And he balled last year, man. He would have been an MVP if the Bengals could have made some noise and they had that bad start when people like Chase and Higgins and them got hurt. But we'll see, man. But let's get on to the next topic, man. All right.
Higgins and Burrow will spend the primes of their career playing together in Cincinnati. Meanwhile, the Texans made All-Pro cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. the highest paid defensive back in NFL history. He tops J.C. Horn, the Panthers cornerback who got his extension done last week. Stingley gets 3 years, $90 million, $89 million guaranteed for the way he's played like an All-Pro in.
So, I had mentioned this earlier that these guys were going to start getting shorter contracts, pretty much all of it guaranteed. So, if that report is right by Adam Schefter, they say he got a 3-year, $90 million contract. And did he say $89 million guaranteed?
Sound like it.
It sounded like he said $89 million guaranteed. First, do you believe the contract is a good contract to give a cornerback? And Rob, I'm going to ask you this. That was the first question. The second question is Derek Stingley the number one corner in the league?
I mean, I think he's up there. I think, when Sauce came out, Sauce had that good year. I know a lot of people were probably maybe questioning the fact that they took Derek Stingley over Sauce Gardner. And I think a lot of that had to do with probably the injury, that Stingley had. But I think right now, I would take Stingley right now over Sauce Gardner. Stingley he's an amazing player, I mean, I wouldn't put him over Patrick Surtain. I think Patrick Surtain is probably the best corner in football. But I would put Stingley at number 2. I really would. Stingley's a guy, man. He's physical corner, not afraid to go up there and make some plays. And I think it was smart for them to go ahead and get that deal done. And, again, another shorter contract, 3 years. And I'm sure if he stays healthy, he's going to outplay that contract too. He's a big part of them, big part of that defense. And, when you look at, when you look at the AFC, man, it's loaded with talent at all the positions, right? And you got to think, man, you're going to have to go up against Jamar Chase. You're going to have to go up against T. Higgins. You need that number one lockdown corner when you meet them in the postseason. And I think it was a smart move by the Houston Texans. And yeah, I think he's the second best corner in football. He's up there, man. He's really, really, really good.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one, Rob. I think Derek Stingley is the number 2 only because Patrick Surtain has been doing it a little bit longer. And I think Patrick Surtain is a little bit more physical than Derek Stingley. Not to say Derek Stingley is not a physical corner. I think he does it all, and I think Surtain does it all. And it looks like Surtain just signed at the wrong time. You know what I'm saying? So Derek Stingley, right. Derek Stingley getting $30 million a year. I definitely put him above Sauce Gardner. I put him right there behind Patrick Surtain. I think he's a guy that changes your defense on the outside when you have to go against, like you said, people like Jamar Chase, people like T. Higgins. You got to go against the Chiefs offense. You got to go. I mean, who's some of the reasons? Well, I don't think he got too many receivers in this division. What is it? Michael Pittman. Who's else is in that division, man? That division is terrible. Oh, well, you got Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, Brian Thomas.
I think they played together at LSU. But, I mean, man, I think he earned that contract, man. And guess what? In 3 years, he'll be 28 years old? He'll be looking for another guaranteed contract for about 3 years. So he has like 2 or maybe 3 more big contracts left in him. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a hell of a deal for Derek Stingley. And I think it's a good deal for both sides. Because how much did J.C. Horn get? Because J.C. Horn is up there too. He's no slouch either. I think J.C. Horn got 25? So yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, 25. So Derek Stingley getting $30 million. Definitely see that happen. Then you're gonna have Sauce Gardner come up. He's gonna get his money. He's probably gonna top that 30, and then Derek Stingley be right behind him after that again, getting paid again. So I think I think he's well worth the contract, and I just think he's a very good player, man. What you think about him, NYG?
I think Stingley's definitely worthy of that contract. But again, I want to ask, because I asked earlier, do you think some of these position players are going to start getting contracts closer to what quarterbacks are getting now? Garrett got 40 million. Stingley got 30. I mean, like, is the value shifting just a little bit? And I'm not saying that, the quarterbacks are not still the most important position or whatever people call it. We can debate all that. But is it starting to shift a little bit, man? And people starting to put more value in these corners, in these edge rushers, in these linebackers, in these safeties? Talk about it.
I mean, it's an interesting question, because I think you can make examples for it on a multitude of different levels, right? And so when you look at a team like the Texans, they got their quarterback. They got their franchise quarterback in C.J. Stroud, who's still on a rookie contract. So they can afford to go ahead and pay a guy like Derek Stingley, who's due some money, right? They can afford to go ahead and do that. But when you look at teams like the Browns and you look at teams like the Dallas Cowboys, they're committing money all over the place, right? And so they're probably putting themselves in some major cap situations. I mean, we know what the Browns are, and I think Dallas is on the verge of doing that as well. They're in negotiations right now with Micah Parsons, but you're paying Dak $60 million. You gave CeeDee Lamb this big contract, and Dak played good. He deserves to get paid. CeeDee Lamb played good. He deserves to get paid. Just a couple of years ago, you gave Trayvon Diggs a big time contract. They paid Amari Cooper $100 million contract, at one point in time. Like, I think having your franchise quarterback and having that rookie contract gives you a lot of the flexibility to do a lot of those things. I mean, look at the situation that the Giants did when you're seeing now some of these contracts for some of these free agents that are coming in. Javon Holland, his hit this year is like 9.9, but then it goes up to like 17 the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. You can afford to do that if you know that you're going to have, or if you have like a rookie con. Now, again, I don't know, right, what the Giants are going to do, but I think when you have that rookie contract, it gives you the ability to go ahead and put that money into players that you feel are impactful players on not only offense and the defensive side of the football. I think where you get into the not necessarily a gray area, but when you get to where it makes it a little bit more challenging is when you're paying the quarterback, and like when you look at the Chiefs, right? They're paying Mahomes, they're paying Jones, they're paying Nick Bolton, they paid Trey Smith, they paid Tooney, they paid Humphreys. Now you got to move money around and you got to do it, but they do it so well, and they're still able to keep a good roster, and maybe they can afford to go a little bit less at certain positions because the quarterback, can cover it up, right? But then these other teams, they struggle with it. So I think it's about how you're managing it and stuff like that. Miami's another big thing. They committed large money to Tua Tagovailoa, right? They gave Jalen Waddle a new deal. They gave Tyreek Hill a new deal, right? Now they brought in Teron Armstead at one point in time. They brought in Jalen Ramsey at one point in time, right? They've got some young guys that they're going to need to pay, which is why they let Wilkins walk last year. They got Phillips, who they're going to have to pay at some point. They had Bradley Chubb that they brought in and that they paid, right, after they traded for him from the Denver Broncos. So you got to manage your money. And a lot of these teams, some of them manage it well, some of them don't. Some of them are just paying these players, and hopefully it works out in them having success. And a lot of times it doesn't. And then you become in a situation where you've got a big cap situation, right? Eagles do a hell of a job right now where they're paying AJ Brown, they're paying Smitty, right? They're paying their quarterback. Yeah. They paid Barkley, they're paying Lane Johnson, they're paying Jordan Mailata, but they got a lot of young players though. The Jalen Carters, the Jordan Davises, the Quinyon Mitchells, the Cooper DeJeans, that they've got young players that are on rookie deals that are playing like they're 2 or 3 year vets, right? So it works out. And then they take the fly, on guys like Mekhi Becton that worked out and stuff like that. And, and it works out for them. And sometimes they can get players that are going to come back for a little bit of less money because of the way that they run the organization, right? So it's just about how you manage it, to be honest. Like, I'm not opposed to these guys getting this big contract, but if you do, how are you managing it? I think how you do that is going to affect how your organization is going to look going forward.
Yeah, I believe you're absolutely right on that, Rob. But to speak on what NYG is saying, will these positional positions start getting paid like NFL quarterbacks? I'll say that's one. I think there's 2 chances that could happen. Actually 3, but one of them retired. And that guy that retired was Aaron Donald. If Aaron Donald was still playing and he went up to them and be like, you got to give me quarterback money, he was the one guy that commanded that would actually command that, and you would have to consider paying him that. The other player, if he can stay healthy, is TJ Watt from Pittsburgh, because if Garrett got 40, Watt's coming up after him. Let's just say he could push for 45. That's right there, almost in top 10 quarterback money. And then the guy that I think can do it if he goes absolutely bonkers throughout the rest of his rookie contract, and that's Will Anderson from the Texans. Because the only guys that you're going to pay that amount of money, quarterback money, is the guys that get after the quarterback. It only makes sense.
That's a fact.
Like a Reggie White or LT, yeah, I will have to do that. So Will Anderson, let's just say the next 3 years, he's averaging 20-something sacks a season. He can literally go to the table and say, look, give me quarterback money because I hunt quarterbacks. I stop them. That's the only position that I can see that can even think about asking for equal amount of quarterback money, like around the $50 million. So I think those are the 3 guys that can actually do it. Yeah, the defensive linemen. Those are the guys that could get paid. Let's say Dexter Lawrence keeps on the tear out the rest of his contract that he has now for the next 3 years. He could come and be like, hey, look, I want 44 to 45 million. I get after the quarterback and I stop the run. So I just think that it's those 2 guys, Will Anderson and TJ Watt. Had to see what happens with those 2 guys, man. But those are the only 2 guys that I believe that can actually get that type of money. But we're going to get to the next subject, man. And it's Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Let's see what they got to say about Mr. Aaron Rodgers, man. Tired of this dude.
Houston, meanwhile, everybody's waiting on a decision from Aaron Rodgers. He continues to be linked with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the New York Giants. Well, there continues to be some speculation about what level of interest the Vikings might have. It doesn't sound like Minnesota is the likely landing spot right now, but it certainly can't be ruled out. And so we'll wait to see what Aaron Rodgers...
I'm an overpowered leaf blower.
These commercials are not directly in support of our channel here.
In the end,
right.
Russell Wilson also.
So quarterback carousel. First, we're gonna talk about Mr. Aaron Rodgers, man. It's been reported that he wants the actual Vikings, and it's been reports out there that the Vikings say we might not want you. We'll stick with JJ McCarthy. So it's going like a whole bunch of situations to where it's people wanting people that don't want them. Rodgers wants the Vikings, but the Vikings don't want him. The Steelers want Rodgers, but the Rodgers might not want them unless the Vikings say no. And then the Giants, nobody wants you. Russell Wilson wants you, but you don't want to sign Russell Wilson. You're waiting on Aaron Rodgers, who completely doesn't want you. This is the stupidest stuff I have seen in a long time when it comes to a free agency decision, bro.
Believe it or not to cut you off, there was one guy who wants the Giants, and they let him leave the building yesterday. Jameis Winston's the only guy that showed so much optimism about playing for the Giants, to the point where he's talking about playing for y'all during Super Bowl week, and y'all let him walk out the building.
It's crazy.
Don't make no sense, bro, at all.
I think the biggest loser in this situation is the New York Giants. It's not because they might not get one of these veteran quarterbacks. It's the whole psychic of them thinking. Now, I've been killed because I was saying, hey, look, you might want to give Malik Neighbors and try to settle for your fourth or fifth option at quarterback if you don't like those guys. But you're in a driver's seat to get one of the quarterbacks that you want in this draft. And now this whole fan base is taking the Uno reverse card to say, go get a 42-year-old. And let's go rock with a 42-year-old with no additions on the offense. Like,
Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. Like, I was told for the past 4 years, including by this brother here, you are a moron if you don't want to get a quarterback for the New York Giants. And now we had the opportunity to get a quarterback, and Big Fat Sports Talk is literally saying, go get your quarterback. And you know what they saying? Let me go get a 38-year-old Russell Wilson, or bring in a 40-year-old Joe Flacco, or a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense for me, Rob. Make it make sense.
Hey, well, Russell Wilson, he's 36 now, okay? Relax. All right, he ain't 38. All right, okay. He's 36.
Still young. Still young.
You know, he's 36 years young. 36 years young. Listen, bro, I'm over the Aaron Rodgers bullshit. Like, I'm over it. I don't want it anymore. It's annoying to me. It's like a gnat at a barbecue, just bugging the fuck out of me. And the fact that the Giants are still. Dude, I don't give a fuck how many MVPs you got. That you're gonna be a Hall of Famer. Like, make your fucking decision. You know, I got a business to run. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a football team to run, and I got the draft coming up in less than fucking 40 days, and I need to know what I'm doing in this draft. I had this great, you know, free agency period and everything like that, and it's being held up by this one position, right? So, to me, like, the Giants, they're dragging this out way too long, and you're giving a guy that reached out to you. He reached out to you for work, and now he's got the audacity to make you wait when you've shown interest. Nah, like, pull out, you know, pause, and, well, maybe not pause, but you pull out of this race, okay, and go get yourself a guy like Russell Wilson, right? Go and make it easy, right? Let the Steelers be clowned for still, and even the Steelers players. You got Cameron Hayward, who was asked, would you go on a blackout retreat to recruit Aaron Rodgers? He's like, no, I ain't gonna do that shit. He's like, you either want to come here or you don't. That's my sales pitch. Like that, like, I want to see some of these players, man, like Sexy Dexy, bro. You want to be a Giant or not, dude? Like, you want to come here or not? Like, like come out there and say something. Like Joe Shane. Like, what's the deal, Aaron? You want to be here, or you want to, or do you not want to be here? Let me know, because right now you ain't showing me like that you want to be here. You can tell me you respect me, and I respect you guys, this, that, and the third, but you got me waiting here. You've been having me waiting for like what, 2 weeks now? No, right. Man, I'm out of here. I'm like, respectfully, I respect you. You know, I respect what you've done. I respect what you brought to the game. But we got to go into another direction. You got a guy that you inquired about in 2022 when he became available from the Seahawks. When you guys first got here, in Russell Wilson, you had him in your building last year. You met him at the airport last year during the offseason, and then you spent 2 days with him this offseason, going out to dinner on Thursday night. Guy came from Cleveland, got to New York, you took him out to dinner, took him to your stadium, met in your facility. You had him there till damn near 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and then you let him walk out the building, right? You got him walking out the building. And then you got Mr. Crab Legs, Mr. W's himself, who was advocating to be a part of your freaking organization, and you let him walk out the building too. Like, at the end of the day, make a decision. Like, you can't be like riding out for this guy Aaron Rodgers and hoping like that he chooses you. Like, you got to make your own decisions. I understand the position that they're in. I understand that they don't want to leave any stone unturned. I appreciate it. Well, you know what, Joe? You should have did this fucking 2 years ago. Like, this is how you're treating this situation now. It's probably what you should have did last year, right? You should have did it shit last year. But you know what? It's dragging at this point. It's dragging on too long. Move on from this dude. It's like I'm a week before the draft is when he can make it. Nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm good.
Talk about it.
I want to hear what NYG has to say about this, but we're gonna listen to a couple of guys who talk about the Giants a lot. Chris Sims and I always forget his name. What's that dude's name? Mike? No, that's not Mike Tirico. Well, whatever his name is.
Chris Sims.
Whatever his name is.
Oh, Mike Florio.
Mike Florio. I knew it was Mike. So we're gonna listen to what these two guys got to say about the whole situation, and then we'll listen into what NYG has to say about it.
Because I have no way to disprove it. I'm going to say that somebody in Minnesota is watching or listening to the show this morning.
Yeah.
Because Tom Pelissero of NFL Media tweeted just 2 minutes ago. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The Vikings have rejected multiple trade calls on J.J. McCarthy, telling other teams they're moving forward with McCarthy as their quarterback, sources say. The team plans to add a veteran, but they're not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time.
Wow.
McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1.
Damn, they got Peacock in the Minnesota building. You know it. They were like, damn, Sims is putting us on the spot about McCarthy. We need to make a comment because people are going to start asking us today. I don't know if that's really what happened, but I hope so. That's what I'm going to believe in my own head.
Or they're listening to me who said somebody's got to shit or get off the pot on this.
Exactly.
We need clarity. Thank you, Minnesota.
Oh, my God.
Thank you. Whoever is up there in the facility, that awesome facility, watching the show. Or
listen, I think they were.
So, man, look, bro. Aaron Rodgers has been rejected. Get out of here. The Kembe Mutombo style. Blocked from the Minnesota Vikings. So now...
Well, they should.
Yeah, they should. And they shouldn't trade J.J. McCarthy. That's the young quarterback that you drafted in the first round. You develop him and you give him a chance to shine. Now, why would you bring Aaron Rodgers in to mess that up? Now you got to ask the question, why would the New York Giants do it? Now you got to ask the question, why would the Pittsburgh Steelers do it? Because I'm hearing rumors they want to take Jackson Dart in the first round. So what's up? What is up? Aaron Rodgers, you know what? Man, just go to the dark room, man. Smoke your peace pipe. Whatever it is you do. And just bounce, man. I'm tired of... he doing exactly what Brett Favre did. Y'all remember, Brett Favre did the same thing. Waffled in the media. Talk to me, bro. Y'all remember this. He did the same thing. And Aaron Rodgers wanted to go to Minnesota. Minnesota's like, nah, we not finna do that again. Sorry, son. So, you trying to be like Brett, but you can't. You just don't muster up, son. I'm sick of Aaron Rodgers, man. Y'all got it.
Yeah, I think with Minnesota, it's interesting. They were very much trying to bring Sam Darnold back for multiple years, and it just got to a point where they couldn't compete with what Seattle was offering, but they were trying to get him re-signed. Then they offered Daniel Jones 1 year, $15 million, and Daniel said no, and he ends up going to Indianapolis for 1 year, $14 million, so $1 million less. I think it's clear that they're trying to get something else in that room, on the off chance that something happens with JJ. Not that, and just mainly on the point where that maybe he's not ready. Maybe he has a setback, because he wasn't in the building for 4 months last year. Doing all of his stuff. So what if he, he's coming off a little bit slow, and stuff like that. They don't want to rush him. They want to take it easy with him. I mean, he's 21, 22 years old. He's got young age on him, right? So I don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's saying that right now they're not into it. But it could be something that happens down the road, potentially. I think I could just see it being at a point where the Giants pivot, the Steelers pivot, and then you're talking about getting ready to go into OTAs and training camp, and Aaron Rodgers somehow comes out of the woodworks and he signs with the Minnesota Vikings on a 1 year deal or something like that.
1 year, 30 million, 1 year, 25
something like that, right? It may come out like that, and it's so we'll see what happens. But it's clear that they want to try to get, because here's the thing: if they were so confident, they would have signed like another backup, like to Jones's level. Right, they could have brought in a Gardner Minshew. They could have brought in, you got guys that are still available out there, right? You got Drew Lock, that's still out there that you could bring in, to be a backup for you if you wanted to, that, and stuff like that. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Just to end the whole Aaron Rodgers saga, I could give a flying you-know-what about what happens with Aaron Rodgers, because I know what Aaron Rodgers is. Go ahead and follow your predecessor, Brett Favre, over there to the Minnesota Vikings and have the same career arc as him. Probably lead the Vikings to the playoffs, and you probably won't even make it to the NFC Championship game. You'll lose the very first game like you did with the Packers. You'll last, 3-4 years? They kept getting home field advantage and kept losing. And that's what he'll do over there. You'll have Jay Jettas. You'll have what's my boy over there from USC? Jordan Addison. You have TJ Hawkinson. You have Aaron Jones, who he played with over there in Green Bay. So you have one of his homeboys over there from the get-go. So that's what he wants. Let's just keep it a buck. That's what he wants. And the Giants and Steelers should just say, shove it and do what they need to do. But I'm tired of Aaron Rodgers, man. So we're going to get to the next segment, and it's going to be about receiver movement, man. Receivers have moved in the NFL this offseason. So let's talk about some of them, man. We're going to hear what they got to say about them.
Season, DK Metcalf was traded to the Steelers. Deebo Samuel traded to the Commanders. Devontae Adams signed with the Rams. Christian Kirk traded to the Texans. Joshua Palmer signing with the Bills. As you see it all right there, it gets you excited for next year. Adam, take us through a couple wide receiver moves from this weekend. Let's start with Juju Smith-Schuster.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first.
My God.
Like, to check your outfit first before meeting your girlfriend's family.
We got ads on Aboriginal Sports Network.
So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
He's returning to the Kansas City Chiefs, Laura.
The Giants need Allstate insurance from Joe Shane.
Returning back to Kansas City. It's a 1 year deal done to go back to the Chiefs, where he gets the opportunity to play with Patrick Mahomes and become a free agent again after this upcoming season. As for another big wide receiver move that was made over the weekend, Cooper Kupp went from the Los Angeles Rams to the division rival Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks have been in need of another wide receiver. They moved on from Tyler Lockett. They traded DK Metcalf. It left Jackson Smith and Jigba really as the one lone established wide receiver. Enter Cooper Kupp, who gets a 3-year, $45 million deal from the Seattle Seahawks. He obviously is familiar with the area. He went to school in that area, knows the state very well, and is thrilled to be in Seattle now, teaming up with Sam Darnold to try to help replace some of the wide receiver losses that the Seahawks incurred this offseason.
So, wide receivers are on the move. And there's a lot of guys that were on the move, man. You can see the board here. There's a lot of guys on the move. DK Metcalf left. Tyler Lockett left. Deebo Samuel went to the Commanders. Devontae Adams went to the Rams. Christian Kirk to the Texans. Joshua Palmer to the Bills. Juju Smith-Schuster went back to the Chiefs, and one of the biggest ones, Cooper Kupp, went to the Seahawks. Rob, man, who do you think these receivers in their new homes can do well, and who do you think will have the best success in their new home?
I mean, I do. Like, I think some of them are going to have success. I think DK will do okay. You know, if he's going to get back with Pete Carroll, which is, you know, a guy that, you know, he admires, you know, very, very much. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Actually,
not Pete Carroll. He went to the Steelers. My fault. You know, so I think he's going to do well there. You know, you got George Pickens that's there. You know, and, you know, they're I think it's just a change of scene. I think a change of scene, too. I think he was just kind of getting worn out of Seattle, and they're clearly going in a different direction. I don't know how I feel about Deebo Samuel. You see a lot of these, you know, they have a little bit of a revamped contract news that are coming out today where I think they're paying him like damn near almost $30 million this year. It's over 20 compared to what it was going to be. I think the best one out of that group that's going to have a big impact potentially is going to be Devontae. I think Devontae and you can even say the Palmer guy, right? I think that Josh did a really good job last year with getting rid of Diggs. I think it made him better as far as spreading the ball around to different receivers and getting different guys involved. You don't have that main guy, you know, that you're really trying to push the ball to when you had Diggs there on a regular basis, so you get to spread the ball around a little bit more. And I think Devontae is going to go to a position where you got Puka Nacua there, you've got Matthew Stafford. You're not the main attraction, right? So you don't really got to go out there and be this, you know, this number one guy that's getting all this attention. I think he's really going to cook. He's going to be in a dome. You know, he's not going to have to worry about any type of weather and stuff like that when he's playing at home. He's got a good defense that they've got there, you know, with the Rams. And I think, again, you're playing with one of the better quarterbacks in football, you know, with Matthew Stafford. So I think Devontae is going to have a big, I would say out of those guys, will have probably the biggest year out of those guys.
Yeah.
Depending on what the Steelers do at quarterback. Now, Steelers get Aaron Rodgers. I think DK and George Pickens, that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I do believe Pittsburgh will be the most exciting to watch, but the receiver that I think that's going to have the best is going to be between Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams. The reason why I say that, Devontae Adams is going to be a seamless transition over there to the Rams, man. He's going to get all those routes Cooper Kupp was getting with Puka Nacua out there with him. He's definitely going to get a lot of one-on-one coverages, and I think he's going to take advantage of that with Matthew Stafford out there. I think Adams is going to have his best season that he's had in about 3 years. I think he gets about 13, maybe to 1,400 yards over there if they use him the way that I think they're going to use him. And Cooper Kupp, he's going to get a lot of targets over there in Seattle from Sam Darnold. I'm just going to keep it a buck. So Cooper Kupp might get another 1,000-yard season, you know, after getting the Triple Crown about 2-3 years ago. He got the Triple Crown, and he hasn't been the same since because of injuries and what have you. But a fully healthy Cooper Kupp over there with the Seahawks getting those targets, I do believe he's going to have a big season. Deebo Samuel, I believe he's going to be a gadget player over there with the Commanders. I don't think he's going to have a huge season, but I think he'll have a bigger impact. DK Metcalf, depending on the quarterback that's out there, I think he's going to have a pretty good season over there with George Pickens. They just got to keep their heads together and don't go insane and start boxing everybody out there on the field. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
He's going to have to, get into. They're going to have to get into that bag, and that's a huge receiver duo to deal with over there in Pittsburgh. Man, they're doing some big things. Just got to get a guy to get them the ball. And last but not least, man, I like Christian Kirk over there with the Texans. Unfortunately, my man over there, Tank Dell, got another major injury. But him over there in the slot, working out there with Nico Collins, man, I think is a big deal out there. I think Christian Kirk will have a pretty good season, man, because they use that slot receiver to their advantage over there with the Texans, man. But NYG, man, what you think about this, bro?
Well, I think the biggest impact, to be honest with you, I like Cooper Kupp. I like Cooper Kupp with the Seahawks, and I'm thinking about it from a football standpoint. Him and Jackson Smith-Njigba, those crossing routes. If you put those two in the slot now, they got to figure out what's going on the outside. They got to figure that out.
The outside.
They do got to figure that out. But if they do, them two in the slot can be deadly, man, on crossing routes, man, seam routes, you name it, man. So I'm thinking about that, man. And like you said, he's going to get a ton of targets from Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold is a safe quarterback. He's going to, take what's open. And, Cooper Kupp is a receiver that gets open quite frequently. So now with Devontae Adams, I like that too as well. Just because of my man, what's his name? Sean McVay. Sean McVay, man. Sean McVay. He know how to use some receivers. And then you already got Puka still over there, like you said. So those are the two right there I think are going to have the biggest impact. Debo, we'll see if he can stay healthy. We'll see what they do with the Commanders. But, I mean, it's rough over here in the NFC East, son. I'm just saying, ain't it?
Hey, we got our own Debo to handle Debo. You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, bro. It's some rough riders over there. So, you already got injury problems, and, you like the sunshines of California, and you coming over here to Washington, D.C. It's going to be a culture change for him, too. But we'll see. We'll see with Debo. But I do like Adams and Cooper Kupp, especially Cooper Kupp, as the biggest impact.
Cool. Yeah, cool. I think Cooper definitely having a good mentor for JSN is going to be pretty huge. And for the Texans, I wouldn't rule out, man, them looking. I know this is kind of somewhat off topic, but I wouldn't look past them maybe taking a swing on Njigba coming out in this year's draft as well, and adding another wide receiver, going back with his old teammate and CJ Stroud. I'm sure that they're gonna, if CJ's got an opinion on it and he's available and he's there, unless there's a better player that's available to them. I know that they need offensive line, so they could definitely look at that. But I wouldn't be surprised to see, Njigba heading to Houston to join up with his old teammate CJ Stroud and help him out with the wide receiver spot. I like Tank Dell, but like
you mean Mbuka?
Mbuka, yeah, sorry, Mbuka, yeah, my bad. So I like that. I think I like Tank Dell, man, but he's been hurt the last couple of years, and when they needed him in the playoffs, he hasn't been available, and they've just been rolling in there. Legitimately, the last 2 years, they went in there with just like single weaponry. It was Nico Collins, their tight end. This year they had Joe Mixon. They didn't have Joe Mixon the previous year, but they were decimated with injuries. So I think, if you can add Mbuka in there, you bring in Christian Kirk now, you give yourself a little bit more weaponry potentially to when you're getting into the postseason where you can try to make stuff happen.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys on that, man. I got Devontae Adams, NYG got Cooper Kupp, and Rob, he's just waiting to see what these guys could do at their new homes, man. Hey, this is the NFL All 32 right here on the Aboriginal Sports Network. We're going to be right back after these messages. Hey, we do the NBA here on the Aboriginal Sports Network too, the NBA Rundown. Check that out on the Aboriginal Sports Network. We'll be right back. All right, we are at the last segment of the show, and this is where my guy NYG22 wants to go and talk about a subject that he wants to talk about, and me and Rob are going to chime in. So NYG, man, what you got for us?
Well, appreciate the intro, bro. But let's get into a little bit of news here. If I can see, y'all can see the screen right there. So, now this is what I tweeted out. This was tweeted from Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder on Twitter. First thing Nick Filato said to me when we talked following his film review of Shedeur Sanders was, I know you noticed that he's got that Daniel Jones burped the baby to his tape. It's an issue to be coached. It played a role in throwing off the timing for DJ his entire career. Now, bruh. Brody. Yo, Brody. How in the hell are you comparing Shedeur Sanders, like I said in the tweet, to Daniel Jones? This is the kind of bullshit ain't none of y'all come out with this for these so-called other top quarterbacks. Make it make sense. Now, look, the whole entire time we've been talking about quarterbacks in the draft, ain't none of these dudes, none of them, compared them to Daniel Jones. But you gonna do that to Shedeur Sanders? Are you fucking for real? Excuse my lingo. I had to cut that. But again, this is wild. Like, how can you on earth compare Shedeur Sanders, who shoulda, coulda, woulda been in a Heisman race had not been for Travis Hunter playing two different positions? I mean, come on, bro. Shedeur Sanders, who dealt with a bad offensive line, still produced. Daniel Jones didn't do that. Y'all complained about that. Y'all complained about anticipation throws. He got it. Y'all complained about, accuracy. He got it. Down the field accuracy. He got it. Mobility. He got it. Pocket awareness. He got it. So come on. How you gonna compare him to Daniel Jones when y'all dog this dude his entire career? His entire career. I was part of that at one point. Rob was part of that at one point. Like, come on. I'm not about to sit up here and cap and say Shedeur Sanders is anything like Daniel Jones. Are you for real, bro? Come holler at me, son. For real. Unpopular Opinion Sports. NYG22, aka Unpopular Opinion Sports on Twitter. Holla at your boy. I retweeted your tweet. This is ridiculous. And you talk about you watch film. What film you watching? Show me, because I watch it too. Let's go.
Yeah. Rob, take over, man. What's the deal with this?
I mean, look, one, Daniel Jones is not the quarterback you want to be comparing. Now, I understand what he's talking about, burping the baby, because he used to pat the ball and stuff like that. So I get what he's referencing. I mean, I guess I'm just not, dude. I'm not trying to compare him to Daniel Jones, and even more so, right? You could say that it's on the film, and granted, the NFL is obviously a different animal than what college is. Shedeur Sanders put up numbers in college that Daniel Jones could never even, in his wildest dreams, aspire to even put up in college.
Talk about it.
And stuff like that. So, I mean, with his little baby Pat, he threw for almost 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 10 picks. Had the top completion percentage, in the Big 12 that he's in. He was second, I believe, in the entire NCAA. Might have even been first in college sports as far as completion percentage at like 74.2. I mean, like, the guy's completion percentage was through the roof. And so, for me, with Shedeur, I'm not comparing any of these guys to Daniel Jones. Now, I understand it, right? Because Jones was here and whatnot, and you don't want the same, but like, dude, night and day difference between the way this guy played football, the quarterback position in college, compared to what Daniel Jones did in college. I mean, look at that. Jones ain't doing that right there. Stiff arming somebody. He ain't doing that. Rolling out to his left, firing we've seen him do some stuff like that. But I mean, like, come on, anticipation with a guy in his face throwing it up. Come on now. I mean, so look, at the end of the day, man, let these. I understand right now it's a little bit dry, when it comes to creating stuff. But come on now. Don't be comparing these guys to Daniel Jones. And you know what? Only reason why people are doing this right now is because the dude is probably going to be there, right? Cam Ward's going one, and I see, man. I'm gonna talk about something else right now too. I'm gonna say, because I said it in the back. Okay. Y'all, people saw Jalen Milroe run a 4.37 40 today, and damn near got a Woody, and say, "Yo, we could pass. Let's get Jalen. Let's get Abdul Carter at 3. Let's get Travis Hunter at 3, and we go get Jalen Milroe in the second round." Some of these same people are the same people that were saying we can get Michael Penix in the second round. We can get J.J. McCarthy in the second round. We might be able to get Bo Nix in the second round. Take Malik Neighbors. You guys not learn? Like, I know my kids, when they were growing up, they touched something hot. They burned themselves. They know not to touch that shit anymore. It's fucking hot. Okay? But y'all want to keep putting your hands on the fucking hot plate. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Wow. Jalen Milroe ran a 4.37. Holy shit. Like, come on now. I mean, you want somebody who's going to run fast? Or you want somebody that actually knows how to play the quarterback position? And that's not a shot on Jalen Milroe saying he can't play the quarterback position. I don't know what that dude's pro career is going to be from a fucking hole in the wall. But I know for this, He ain't a better prospect than fucking Shedeur Sanders is right now. No fucking shot. No fucking chance. So like what? Come on, dude. I swear, like we do this every year. Giants fans, people do this shit every year. You want the flashy player. You want the Hunter. You want the Abdul Carter. You want to pass on the quarterback. I don't get it. Why is every other team? We got people saying the Browns should take fucking Shedeur Sanders when they've been a shit fucking organization since they came back in 2000. They paid fucking Deshaun Watson, gave him an obscene amount of contract. They've got barely any fucking money to operate. They got Ward under contract. They just fucking gave fucking what's-his-face, Myles Garrett, new money. But they can go ahead and draft the quarterback, but Giants fans are scared to take a quarterback? What are you scared about? People already all cool moving on from Evan Neal. Oh, he's done. Last year. Draft Joe Alt. What? So you can move off of Evan Neal after 2 years. But the quarterback position, you want to keep kicking the can down the road? You want to keep kicking that can? Why? Because you want the guy with the same last name as the guy that brought you 2 fucking Super Bowl championships? I mean, look, I'm all for Arch Manning, right? Like, I want to see what this dude hasn't even really played in a full season of college as a starter.
Nope.
And he's not coming out in 2026, FYI.
Nope. I mean, come on,
we got the inside.
Coming out to like probably 2028. So what? You want to kick the can down the road for 3 fucking years? Come on, y'all. Man, what are we doing? You're more than likely, possibly, gonna have Shedeur Sanders sitting right there. The dude made cleats of your team. He clearly wants to be there, right? Take him. It's that simple. Because you know what? Let me bring some real to y'all, right? Myles Garrett is the best defensive player in football right now. How many playoff and chips has he got? How many conference championship games he's seen? Zero. TJ Watt, great player. How many Super Bowl rings he got? 0.
He ain't made it to a conference championship either.
Nada. Sauce Gardner, top player. How many conference championship games he seen?
Shit. How many division
How many Super Bowls he seen?
He ain't even seen the playoffs.
For the most part, Aaron Donald, who was the best player in football. He had Jared Goff. He made it to the playoffs. He made it to the Super Bowl once. After that, how many times you make it to the conference championship game? Until they got Matthew Stafford. But he was with them for a while. I mean, come on. Just because you got the name, Justin Jefferson, best receiver in football, arguably. How many conference championship games he seen? How many Super Bowl rings he got? You could have the flashy player, but guess what? The common denominator is, people. If you ain't got the quarterback, get your fucking ass off the pot. Because it don't matter. It don't fucking matter, dude. It don't matter. It don't. It's just that simple.
I'm gonna tell you this, man. I think these dudes are scared of Shedeur Sanders' pedigree, man. I think they're scared of an actual culture change. This city, this fan base, and the fan base, who I'm talking to, they know who they are. They're scared of change. They're scared of what can happen if Shedeur Sanders actually comes in here and balls. And he changes the culture like he said he changed in Jackson State and Colorado. What are those fans are going to do, those particular type of fans are going to do when you have to recognize that it's this kid that's taking you back to where you want to be? Is that something that they want to look at? Is that something that they want to acknowledge? Is that something that they want to cheer for, praise for, root for? I don't think they do. And I think they're really scared of change. And that's why you come up with the Kirk Cousins. Let's trade for Kirk Cousins. Let's go get Aaron Rodgers. Let's go get Joe Flacco. Just give us somebody. Oh, take Adil Carter and get Jackson Dart. You know what I'm saying? It's the same type quarterbacks. Drew Holler. They were talking about Will Howard. You know, man, these dudes would probably take a Dylan Gabriel if they could. You know what I'm saying? So it's just bad, man. You gotta accept change, man. Look at your division. It's changed, bro. Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels. It's changed. The way the football has been played over here in the NFC East has totally changed from what it was when they were doing, you know, have the collar tighten up type quarterbacks and everything with your Tony Romos, you know, with your Kirk Cousins that was over here with the Commanders. Then they went to what's the dude from North Carolina, Sam Bowell. You know, they had what's the other little guy before they had Sam Bowell? They had him over here. You know what the Commanders did? He said, you know what? We finna get on this Eagles train because the Eagles have been on that same train for a long time. Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, Randall Cunningham.
Talk about it.
You know what I'm saying? They even had Vince Young at one point. They've been on that train, and now that train has finally got on tracks and it is rolling. They finally got what they wanted. They finally built the culture around one of those type quarterbacks that allows them to be the best team in the league. They just won the Super Bowl. And you know what the Commanders did? They said, you know what? We're going to follow suit. We're going to bring some more chocolate back in Chocolate City. And yes, I said that. They did. They brought more chocolate back to Chocolate City. And guess what? Those brothers went out there and they balled for Jaden Daniels because of the energy that he brought to that city. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he was 100% of the reason why they were winning. No, they had a great scheme and they got a coach that was defensive-minded. Having a defensive-minded coach behind a quarterback that's like that can handle your offense and get you a good offensive coordinator that knows how to use the quarterback to his skill sets, it gets you to an NFC championship game in the toughest division in football. Just going to be honest with you. Dak Prescott, I don't particularly like him too much, but he is what the Dallas Cowboys needed. After Tony Romo got hurt, he took over and is what they needed. And they bring nothing but dogs over there. He's the quarterback that can go over there and handle those dogs. Guess who's the last team that hasn't got the memo? We had Daniel Jones that whole time. And yes, you can bash me all you want. Even my co-host has bashed me about Daniel Jones. I was wrong. When he got the stuff around him, Daniel Jones proved to be Daniel Jones. He was shell-shocked. He was broken. And I can admit my faults. But you mean to tell me I'm in a world where billionaires can't admit their faults? You mean to tell me I'm in a world where a billionaire can't see what the hell is happening around him and his surroundings? Those three quarterbacks alone should tell you what time it is. Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, and Jaden Daniels. That should tell you what time it is. It's a different brand of football over here, whether you want to admit it or not. It has changed. It's more Aboriginal brothers over there running and being the face of the franchises over here in the NFC East. And I don't care how controversial you think that is. It's just true. It's the way that it moved. And I was seeing it back then. I was like, man, it's going to get to a point where every quarterback over here looks Aboriginal. Because that's the energy that's over here in the NFC East. Is a different type energy. You don't have a Peyton Manning over here that could probably match that energy because he's just that surreal of a quarterback, or a Tom Brady or somebody like that. No average quarterback is going to come over here and succeed.
They think it's Aaron Rodgers. Crazy work.
Aaron Rodgers in his heyday couldn't survive over here. I'm just going to be honest with you, because he doesn't have the leadership capabilities of a Drew Brees or even if Phillip Rivers had more leadership capabilities than him. He doesn't have the mind of an Eli Manning or a Peyton Manning or the drive of a Tom Brady or somebody like that. He just doesn't have it. He's just a super talented dude that just goes out there and you do what I say. And to be honest with you, I don't even think that dude really cares about winning Super Bowls. He cares about his money and looking good. Sounds like something they say about other type of quarterbacks, if you get my drift. But like I said, not trying to make you feel uncomfortable, but if I have, so what? Because I'm telling you the truth. It's the absolute truth. And it's been happening with the Eagles way back in the early 90s when Randall Cunningham showed up over here at the NFC East with the Eagles, and he was making plays of such. And they've been doing it, and they finally caught it. And guess what? Now they got two. Now they win one more. They're no longer the little brother no more. They're right there with you. And to be honest with you, the way they've been tearing the NFCs up, they are right there with you right now, to be honest with you. But that's my take on it. And NYG, I'm going to let you end the show with your take on it.
Well, I just want to say this, man. To be honest with you, I mean, there ain't no take. You see the groove, man. You see the vibe, son. Like, you get with it or you get out the way. And I'm telling you, the Giants gonna get pushed out the way if they keep it up, man. Like I mentioned, they're already talking about that 10%. Stuff for sale. They still waiting for somebody to buy it. Don't be surprised if you see more and more of them getting pushed out the door if they don't take Sador at number 3. And that's what I got, man. It's been great, bro. Y'all got it.
All right, man. Hey, listen. This has been the NFL All 32, man. Got to get this scheduled for you every Thursday at a certain time. We're going to choose that time. But this has been the NFL All 32, man. Rob Zero in the building. NYG 22 in the building. Big Pat Sports Talk in the building. Yes, it may have got a little controversial towards the end, but this is the NFL All 32. We tackle all subjects. We don't run, we don't hide, and we don't do things like the Giants. We're organized. So it is what it is, man. But till the next episode of the NFL All 32 coming at you Thursdays, we out, man. Peace.
Peace.
Giants organization that really put Daniel Jones in the forefront and carried him in that type of light, man, on national TV.
$223. The suspension also opens the door for the Texans to release Al-Shahir.
Then in 1976, guess who was hired? At Chiefs fans. This is where preference plays the biggest.
I'm gonna have to knock this down and get the oohs and ahs of Houston.
Welcome to the Aboriginal Sports Network.